So I recently went through the pro modules of the new Flux Academy Webflow Masterclass version 4.0, and overall there is some immensely valuable content within the course. However, I don't think it's for everyone, and I think that there are definitely some crucial things that you should know before you plunk down the extra money for this course. So in this video, I'm going to be covering my opinions about this course, both the pros and the cons. So let's dive in and talk about it. So in case you don't know, when Flux Academy released their new version of the Webflow Masterclass version 4.0, there's now a base tier and a pro tier. The base tier gives you the Webflow Masterclass, and then the Pro tier gives you this extra set of modules taught by Caleb J, who is a Webflow developer who has an agency, and they've made over $500,000 designing and developing websites for people using Webflow. And so in these modules, Caleb talks about how to start a design agency and sort of the frameworks he goes through on how he approaches his projects. So let's start with some of the good aspects of this part of the course. So Caleb really dives into a lot of the nuts and bolts behind how his business works, which honestly is pretty impressive to me, because I feel as though a lot of people would not want to share their secrets because it creates more competition. But Caleb really uncovers a lot of really deep inner workings of his business and how he's been able to make it successful. So that is one thing that I really like, is that he doesn't really seem to be holding anything back. The second thing is he gives you a lot of resources to help get your design agency off the ground. So he provides a pricing model so that you can get a sense for what to charge clients when you're getting started. But the big thing that he gives you, which is just crazy, is he gives you this massive Webflow checklist, which is this Notion template that gives you a framework to operate off of that you can use when you start any client project. And it goes through basically step by step what you need to do to onboard the clients, what you need to do even before you start the actual development of the website, and what you need to do after you're done designing. It basically just goes through step by step every little thing that you need to do, which really just takes a lot of guesswork out of the equation. And I mean, when you see this, it is a monster checklist. It's actually a little bit overwhelming, if I'm being honest, but it literally, I can tell it's been refined over time to include anything that you would need to know when it comes to systemizing and having a very consistent output when it comes to client projects. Another thing that I really like is he talks about how to offer a red carpet experience for clients, and he goes over his strategies to go above and beyond to providing outstanding service. Because let's face it, there are a ton of Webflow design agencies, and so what is going to separate your agency from being better than anyone else's? And so Caleb really doubles down on just providing a 5-star experience, detailing them what to expect, never leaving them in the dark when it comes to what they're working on, and just having sort of this constant communication between their team and the client. And there's so much more to it than that, but he really details, he really has put a lot of thought into how to provide a really good experience for any client that he's working with, and he breaks down how he does that, and I find that to be just very helpful. One last thing that I like is that he's very honest about what it takes to actually start a Webflow design agency, and he mentions in pretty good detail about how he was spending 18-hour days making websites, he was sleeping in his office floor, he was barely making any money at first, and he was talking about how much work it actually takes to do this. And in this world where every single ad that we get that's targeted towards web designers is like, oh, you can be a web designer in 6 months, you can be one in 3 months. Caleb really breaks down that, no, this takes a fuck ton of work, and you're gonna have to really work at perfecting your craft and iterating on your processes in order to actually get a profitable business. And so I like that he's approaching this from that no bullshit sense and saying that, hey, this is a lot of work, but if you put in the work, then you can do it. And I just really like that he's honest about that. All right, so now let's talk about some of the things that may be a drawback to this course. And the first thing is actually what I just talked about before, is he's brutally honest about how much work it takes to become profitable as a Webflow developer. And as much as I appreciate the honesty, it can also feel a little bit discouraging as well to hear the kinds of effort that he had to put in to make this work. And I know that he's just one person, and this was his journey. And so certainly there are other people that had different journeys, and maybe they didn't have to spend 18 hours sleeping on the office floor, working all day. You know, there's probably easier paths out there, but it can be a little bit discouraging. It's not really even that it's a con, but I have a feeling that for some people, they're going to hear that and be like, oh my God, I don't think I'm cut out for this. I don't think I'm ready for this. I'm still gonna stick with it because I'm like, hey, I'm already this far into it. So I'm just gonna keep, tunneling through. But just know that if you're looking for sort of this cheery message on how easy it is to become a Webflow developer, you're not going to get that with this. He's very honest about how much work it takes to actually become successful at this. Another thing that is sort of a drawback to this course is while this course has a ton of valuable content, I mean, truly like life-changing for some people, it's also overwhelming for beginners. I think this is just my opinion, but I think for people starting out, including myself, I think a lot of the resources that he gives are too overwhelming. And the Webflow checklist, as incredibly well done and detailed as it is, I think can honestly just put myself in a bit of an analysis paralysis of, okay, I have all these checklists now. Where the hell do I even start now? And I think that's the problem with beginners who end up doing this course is they're going to get all of these resources and they're not going to know what to do. And that's going to halt them from making progress because they're going to feel like they need to master how to use these resources before they even reach out and start getting clients. And I think honestly and I'm honestly just talking to myself here, speaking to myself, I think it's probably better just to get your feet wet and just do the damn thing, do the reach outs, just build a website for someone, damn it. And just learn along the way, at least for the first few, because I know for me, when I work on a project myself, I sort of build my own systems along the way. And so I find that if I just get handed someone else's systems, I don't really know why they're being used until I make the mistakes on my own. And so it's not to say that I need to do everything on my own to figure it out, but I think doing the first few reps on my own just to sort of see where are my weaknesses, and then I can use those frameworks and checklists as a way to hone the areas that I need to work on. And so really, I think that these checklists and templates are really better geared towards someone who has already worked on a couple or a few client projects and they want to hone their systems and processes to be more streamlined. That's where I really think the value of this course is. Another thing that's kind of a drawback is there's not a lot of information when it comes to finding new clients, especially when you're starting out. He talks about what he does, which is essentially cold calling and cold emails, and he talks about how he partners with different design agencies, but he doesn't go into a lot of different examples on what he's saying to people. He does give one script that he typically says, but he doesn't give a lot of email scripts for what he typically sends to people. So do I need that? Probably not, but for me, it's just always nice to have some examples of that just so I can sort of piece together what typically works and also sort of frame it in a way that it's sort of how I would normally speak to someone. So he doesn't go through a ton of detail about that, but again, maybe he did that by design. All right, so is this pro version of the Webflow Masterclass worth it? Well, I kind of touched on it earlier, but I would say if you are a beginner and you're wanting to just learn how to get better at Webflow, I would say the pro version is not worth it because the resources are just super overwhelming for a beginner. I consider myself to be intermediate in terms of Webflow capability, but certainly a beginner when it comes to starting my freelance journey. And I think that a lot of the resources and templates in here, while they are incredibly useful, as I said before, I think they're honestly just going to lead to an analysis paralysis for myself of not even knowing where to begin. And so I think that this pro version of the course is honestly more geared to those who are already in their freelance journey. Maybe they've worked on a few paid client projects and they need ways to streamline their business. They need ways, processes, and systems to allow for more consistent work output, especially if they're getting to the point to where maybe they need to hire other people. That's where I really feel like this course would be better suited. If you want to learn more about the Flux Academy Webflow Masterclass, I have a link in the description below. It is an affiliate link, so if you want to support this channel, then that is a great way to do so. And if you want to hear my review on the base version of the Webflow Masterclass, which is the main chunk of it, you can certainly check that video out here. If you found this video to be helpful, it would mean a lot if you hit the subscribe button. It helps me out more than you know, and just lets me know if these videos are resonating with you. And until next time, I will see you in the next video. Take care.